Yeah.
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. You straight gangsters over here,
Straight
man.
gangsters.
Ah.
Yeah, good morning. It is Friday, September 14th, and you are listening to The Scout Team with Scout Team Sports. We are excited to be here after a great night of Thursday night football. But first, let me go ahead and introduce us. I am
You are the most egotistical,
Loudbeard.
self-deluded person I have
and all of that
ever
is
met.
true. Across from me on the other line is the great patriot known as America. Or not. Maybe he's not there. Turn your mic on, Chris, if you hear me. Got it? Nothing. I got nothing.
Yeah, it's Chris.
Oh, there he is.
live. Man, the mixer just keeps getting unplugged. So I'm going to work on that next week. It'll be perfect. I promise you, Loudbeard. I apologize. Please don't fire me.
All right. I'll keep you on staff for one more day, and we'll see what happens. We'll give you the weekend to fix yourself and try to get this all corrected. And, you know,
No, I need
we'll-
to check
we'll get
myself
work.
before I wreck myself.
yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. So I do want to introduce our special guest. He's in studio for just one more day, and that would be Joe Football. Joe Football, welcome back, sir.
Oh, thank you. Hey, Chris America, how you doing this morning? And hello out there to everybody. And great to be back here for one more day. And it was good night of football last night. And like I said, good to talk to everybody today.
Well, we're glad to have you back. Your name is Joe Football, and we love watching football. Last night, there was a big football game on. It was a interdivisional rivalry, and we had two of the most elite quarterbacks in all of the NFL, Andy Dalton going up against Joe Flacco. And you know what? I would have to say that this game provided a lot more offensive firepower than I thought it would. So, Chris America, did you get an opportunity to catch how hot Andy Dalton was last night?
I saw a little bit of it. I saw they went up 21-0, and I'm like, man, what a difference a week makes for the Baltimore Ravens. Here we are praising them. Are they back? Is Flacco back? And really, we just found out that it had nothing to do with anything but the Buffalo Bills being an awful team. So, if you're picking your picks, make sure you pick against the Buffalo Bills this year.
I 100% agree with you. And, I saw this was trending on Twitter a little bit last night, and it's a really good point. It's kind of the old, if this team can beat that team, then that team can beat this team philosophy. But if the Ravens can come out and stomp the Bills by 40 points, and then the next week the Bengals come out and jump on the Ravens 21-0, does that mean the Bills could possibly be the worst team we've ever seen in the NFL ever?
I think
Overreaction
so, yeah.
Friday. Yeah, you
Yeah,
think
I
so?
think
Okay, Football Joe,
Freaking
or
out.
Joe Football. I need to hear what you got, man.
Well, a couple things. Bengals 2-0, so out to a good start. Interesting to see A.J. Green having a great game. And, I was disappointed in Joe Flacco and the Ravens after, annihilating the Buffalo Bills, and it was up in Buffalo, and, they were on the road. And I just didn't think it was a very good performance at all. I was a little disappointed in Baltimore. But, kudos to the Bengals being 2-0.
Yeah,
If you were playing
good for them.
against, if you were playing against A.J. Green in fantasy last night, you were mad as hell because you only had 5 catches, 69 yards, but 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I've got a worse scenario for you, Chris America. I've got Andy Dalton on my bench, and Andy Dalton
how
lit
many
the
points did he
world
score?
on fire.
How many points did he score?
I don't know, but I didn't even want to look. It was one of those situations where when a player goes off on your bench in fantasy football, it's not even worth looking at because all it's going to do is create a massive depression. And I really don't want to be depressed like that today. I don't I don't
would
think that's
feel-
going to be good for our show. I need to have the energy and the enthusiasm, and looking at Andy Dalton scoring 40 points on my bench is probably not going to help me out.
Well, listen,
now,
as the guy that went against you last week, you are the kid. You scored 200 points. So right now you're being the kid that got the Corvette instead of the Porsche for his 16th birthday.
yeah, whatever. Whatever, man. You're just bitter because I stomped you last week in fantasy. I didn't, and this is the situation too. I've got 3 fantasy leagues, so I'm trying to keep them all together. And I had Andy Dalton on the bench in one of my other leagues that I didn't beat you in, and I lost in that league. So now I'm bitter. I'm like got this competitive edge. Like I just want to win every week. If I can beat Chris America by 100 points, I could beat everybody in every league I'm ever in. Is that fair?
That's true. That's true.
That is true. That is true.
This is Fair Take Friday.
All right, hashtag it, man. Hashtag that shiz something. So, you know what? Thursday night, I kind of missed the color rush. So I want to get your guys' thought on this. I feel like the color rush got a lot of hate because people were like, oh, it's just bright colored uniforms. Why are they doing that? It looks stupid. Look at those goofy colors. Man, what's wrong with having a little fun out there? Thursday nights can sometimes get a little boring. Sometimes the matchups aren't great. And when you go out and when you're watching it, just the bright colored uniforms, I loved the color rush. And maybe I'm in the minority, but do you guys feel like we are missing something with the color rush? Chris America, do you feel like we're missing something now that we don't have it?
I would be. I don't miss the color rush as much as you do, but I do like the idea of changing up the uniforms. It's like maybe we can have like an Oregon Ducks Thursday where they like Oregon Duck it up, the uniforms and everything. Or maybe we can have one Thursday, the 2 teams wear the helmets of the college they played for. I think that would be kind of cool to see. You know, they keep their team jerseys on, but kind of like the Pro Bowl, just have the Gators and the Buckeyes and maybe even you'd see a bunch of UCF night helmets on. It'd be awesome.
That's not a bad thought. Joe Football?
I like it. I think that's a great idea. I think showing the being patriotic, or looking at some of the different colors from the college past would be awesome.
But I think the NCAA and NFL would have to come up with a good agreement to work this out, and I don't feel like they like to work well together. They're like the 2 kids in the sandbox fighting over the one toy. They all want the opportunity to be able to have everything. They want all the attention. They don't want the attention to go onto somebody else. So I don't know if they would share very well with that.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Absolutely. They doesn't seem like they work too well together. But, no, I like Chris America's idea. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I like this Football Joe guy. He agrees with me a lot.
I don't know why. I mean, this is awful. We're going to
have
have
him on the show every morning.
Yeah, we're going to have to get some disagreements going here, and we'll go from there. So, I don't know. What else about this game was exciting for you, Chris America?
I mean, I already said yesterday that I wasn't too excited. Once I saw it was up 21-0, I honestly tuned out and just went about my night. Went to bed early just so I can get this Friday, Freaky Friday, Fair Friday, whatever we're going to call it today, just so we can get a lot of energy into it, bring in the weekend for all of our fans. I know everybody listens to us live every morning, and they look forward to us to bring the energy. So once it was up 21-0, I was disinterested in this game before, so I was even more disinterested in this game. So I tuned out, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, question for you, Chris America. What'd you think of Joe Flacco and the Ravens? Were you disappointed?
A little bit, but not surprised. This is the Ravens that we were kind of expecting coming into the season. I think the Ravens last week was sort of the exception to the rule and not the rule. I don't know what they're going to do. I saw they were warming up, or a lot of people were turning to Lamar Jackson, and that's not good for Joe Flacco's confidence or anything like that. These are the games that Joe Flacco can be yanked at any moment's notice because fans in Baltimore, that's what happens when you draft a rookie quarterback in the first round, and you've been a 500 quarterback since you won a Super Bowl. The more time that goes beyond, that separates Joe Flacco from that Super Bowl, the more likely he's going to be out of there, and the fans are going to want Lamar Jackson. So I don't know how or when, but Joe Flacco's got to play better next time.
Yeah, but Joe Flacco's elite. That's the problem. You
Is
know
that-
he's an
is that
elite
what he is?
quarterback.
Is
Yeah,
that
he's
what he
elite.
is?
So I agree with you.
He's a
And
top 20
honestly,
quarterback.
the way he played week 1 was great. Now, against the Buffalo Bills, we don't know what that's going to look like going forward. He had some moments in this game. He still was a little bit more of that average Joe that we're used to when we see Joe Flacco. And, it is still week 2, so there's a long way to go. But with Lamar Jackson getting drafted by the Ravens, I think that's a good thing for Joe Flacco because it's had to remotivate him. He got paid after that Super Bowl win. He made a bunch of money, and I think he lacked a little motivation. He never had any job security issues. Now he's got a little bit of a job security issue. He knows that there is a guy waiting in the wings that could be the future of the Ravens, and they don't necessarily need him. If he struggles, they have another guy that they're willing to put out there. So that in itself has given Joe Flacco the motivation to go out and show it. And let's see what he does. Last time he went out and tried to prove it, the Ravens wanted to give him like a ho-hum quarterback contract. He said, nope, I'm going to go out and show you that I'm worth more than that. And he went and won the Super Bowl. So let's see what happens when he's motivated, when he's got Lamar Jackson on his heels. That could be the motivation that gets him to where he needs to be, back to that level that year that they won the Super Bowl. I think it's great. And then also, I just want to keep seeing Lamar Jackson at least somehow get worked into the game plan, even if it's just a handful of plays a game. Let's see what he does. I think the Ravens need to continue to do that. He was out there a couple plays last night, if I remember correctly, but they've got to keep him regular and keep him going where he is part of that team.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But enough about last night's game. Like I said, it was 21-0. I turned it off. I know Joe Flacco had over 300 yards, but a lot of that came, once the Bengals were up. And we all know in the NFL, once you're up big, you go, these stupid zone op defenses that just allow everything to happen. They don't want to allow the other team to just bomb it down the field and score quick touchdowns. They want you to meticulate down the field. So that's where a lot of those yards came from. But I'm looking forward to this weekend, and I'm pretty excited.
You should be excited. Now, Chris America, I'm gonna bring out a new segment that's gonna kind of segue us into the games this weekend, and we're gonna call this segment "Who's Your Daddy?" Now, if you guys don't remember this, we talked about it on our Wednesday night show. So for all of our listeners, Football Joe is my father. So when I say "Who's your daddy?" he knows who I'm talking about. And this segment is in honor of him being on our show the last couple days. I'm watching the recording to make sure the episode is recording. I wanted to apologize to all of our listeners out there. Yesterday, our 6 a.m. live show, we had some technical difficulties. The recording had a little bit of an issue, so we weren't able to drop it on our normal 11 o'clock replay. But today, we're coming in hot. We're going to have the great replay coming back. We've got Joe Football, and we've got...
Who's your daddy?
That's right. Who's your daddy? So
I'm
I'm
going to
gonna
get your voice that deep there, Loudbeard.
Oh boy, it's sexy. All right, so I'm gonna bring it out to each of you guys, and I want to hear what your thoughts are. So one of the big games coming up this weekend: Vikings versus Packers. This is an NFC North rivalry, and I want to know, with this game, we've got two electric quarterbacks, two of the greatest quarterbacks in all of the NFL. You've got Aaron versus Mr. Kirk Cousins, top 5. So if you were going to say which one of these players is going to have a better game this Sunday, who is it going to be? And we'll let Football Joe start us out, Chris America, then he'll pass it over to you. So, Joe Football,
Who's your daddy?
Cousins or Rodgers? Who's got a better game this weekend?
I'm going to have to go with Kirk Cousins. I just think the injury is going. He's still questionable, I believe, and Aaron coming in, I think he'll have a little bit of trouble planting. But I'm just going to go with Kirk Cousins, and I think he's got a solid game and a really strong team around him.
Yeah, this is more or less who's your daddy between the Vikings defense and Aaron Rodgers. That's what it's really boiling down to. And really, who's your daddy between Aaron Rodgers and his knee? If this was a healthy Aaron Rodgers, I might give the slight edge. I'd still be nervous about that Vikings defense. They're the ones that put him out for the season last year, and they were harassing him all that game. He didn't really have a good game leading up to the injury. So I don't expect that to really change this year. So I'm going to go Kirk Cousins, but not because obviously nobody thinks Kirk Cousins is the better quarterback, but because he has the better defense, or he has a worse defense to go against with the Green Bay Packers defense, even though they draft, cornerbacks out the wazoo every single year. But I think he's going to have a good game. If Mitchell Trubisky can kind of work the offense around and get a bunch of points, I think Kirk Cousins will have an easy day as well.
I agree with both of you. I am not going to argue it because Kirk Cousins is a top 5 quarterback. You guys already know that. All right, so Lions versus 49ers. We have 2 quarterbacks that have something to prove after their lackluster Week 1 performances. You've got Matt Stafford, the man that got paid $1 bazillion to be an average quarterback in the NFL, and you got Jimmy G, a man that got paid $1 bazillion based off of potential. Joe Football.
Who's your daddy?
I'm going to go with Matt Stafford. I think he will bounce back, and I think I think just overall Matt Stafford is who I look to have a really solid game. So I'm a fan of Matt Stafford, and I think they're going to bounce back.
Man, I'm gonna have to disagree with Football Joe. I'm sorry, it hurts me to do it. You've been agreeing with me all week. I love it, but my take is always a team that travels across country doesn't play well, and I think if Sam Darnold can light up Detroit's defense, I don't see why Jimmy G can't do it as well. I see Jimmy G being at home. He needs a win. He needs to prove to his new team that they signed him for a reason. It's their first home game. I think Stafford and the Lions still got to figure it out, and it's going to be all 49ers week 2.
All right, Chris America. I'm going Jimmy G also. Next matchup, we've got Giants versus Cowboys, another divisional rivalry, NFC East. But instead of the quarterbacks, I think the young running backs are going to be the center of attention at this matchup. So you've got the rookie Saquon Barkley with the great high expectations coming into this season, and the young Zeke Elliott, who is the backbone of that Cowboys offense. So Joe Football.
Who's your daddy?
Okay, I'm going to go with Eli Manning, and I am.
That wasn't the question, sir. You weren't paying attention. I see how this is. This is the good stuff. I'm going running backs here.
Running back.
Saquon Barkley. Wait, we're going to start over. Saquon
Gotcha.
Barkley or Ezekiel Elliott?
Gotcha.
Who's your
Gotcha.
daddy?
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go with Ezekiel Elliott. I think Elliott is not only a good running back, very durable, but I think he's going to pound the ball, and I think he's going to have the edge.
Is it my go, or would you like to go this time, Loudbeard?
I can go ahead and go. Yeah, so I have a problem picking this one because both of them are NFC East rivals with our Redskins, Football Joe. And so I do think that it's a challenging pick, and I really have a hard time picking the Cowboys in anything, but I got to go Ezekiel Elliott. I still haven't seen enough out of Saquon Barkley. I know it's only been one game. He had that one big run, but other than that, he really didn't show enough. So I do have to go with Ezekiel Elliott as my Who's Your Daddy.
Yeah, seeing that my Carolina Panthers just went against the Cowgirls last week, you know that I've broken down the film. I've watched it 5,000 times. I've spent my entire week just analyzing everything. And what I came up with is the Dallas Cowboys defense is going to be okay. Their offense has a ton of question marks, but that front seven for the Dallas Cowboys looked pretty good, especially against the run. I know that, Christian McCaffrey's still trying to find his way in the NFL. He's now the starting. He's getting all the carries. So I'm not going to read too much in the fact that he didn't really do anything in the running game this week. And I think Saquon is a little bit, more used to carrying the starting load. But I look for the edge to be towards the Cowboys defense against Saquon over the Giants defense against Ezekiel Elliott. So I think Elliott is going to have the better game.
All right. So I've got 2 left here. So the next Who's Your Daddy? We've got the Super Bowl losing New England Patriots and the Jacksonville Jaguars. We get a rematch of the AFC Championship where the great Blake Bortles almost stomped the Patriots but then lost after a rough second half. So I'm going to have to say We have the GOAT versus the GOAT, Tom Brady versus Blake Bortles.
Who's your daddy?
Okay, I'm going to tell you this, that I think that Brady will have a good game, but I am going to predict that the Jaguars are going to win. But I'm going to say that Blake Bortles comes down the field and wins the game either with a winning touchdown drive or with a winning field goal. And so I'm going to go with Blake Bortles and a win for Jacksonville at home and a big rematch.
Chris America, what are your thoughts?
I think the Jacksonville defense is going to make Tom Brady their B. I think they're very upset that they lost last week. I think last year in the AFC Championship. I think they all know Myles Jack wasn't down. And this is at home, and we talked yesterday about how this is a much bigger game for Jacksonville than it is for New England. And while New England looked good last week, they didn't look great against the Houston defense. So I think Jacksonville's defense, honestly, this year is a lot better. So I think the edge is going to go to Blake Bortles. But who's your daddy? It's going to be that Jacksonville defense.
Yeah, the Jacksonville defense.
Agreed.
I almost put the Jacksonville defense against the Patriots on this one, a Patriots defense, but I really couldn't because I think that would have been too easy. And, with Tom Brady being the GOAT, but Blake Bortles having the motivation, I'm going to have to agree with you guys. Hashtag Bortles Mania always. All right, so last pick, we've got the Steelers versus the Chiefs. Now, this is going to be another running back matchup, I think. So you've got the young James Conner, who has filled in very nicely for Le'Veon Bell, going up against Kareem Hunt. So we've got two dynamic young running backs in a big AFC matchup for both of these teams. So who's it going to be?
Who's your daddy?
I'm going to go with James Conner at home. I think it's going to, be a bounce-back game. Steelers did not look good. They should have lost the game, but James Conner looked great, and I think he's going to come back and just have another great game.
Chris America.
This is a formidable defense that the Chiefs are bringing in now. I know that the Cleveland Browns are also a really good defense, but last week's weather made it a game plan where you had to go running. You had to run the ball a lot. The field wasn't that great to where, linebackers and linemen could really dig their feet in and get off their blocks and everything. So I look for the Chiefs defense to kind of come in and slow him down. So I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt. The Steelers aren't really known for having a good defense these last few years. It's kind of been one of the big glaring weaknesses of the Steelers team, and a lot of people feel like if the Steelers had their defense right, they would be Super Bowl champs at least 2 or 3 times in the last 6 or 7 years. So I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs and Kareem Hunt.
Oh, good. I'm glad you said that because I'm going James Conner. This guy, he makes Le'Veon Bell look like an afterthought. He has come in and really done what he's needed to do for the Steelers. Now, the Steelers did not win that game, but they're going to come out hot. Their running game is important, and they always feed the running back. James Conner is going to have a huge day. I think on the Chiefs side, Patrick Mahomes is going to try to throw the ball more than they run, and I don't think Kareem Hunt's going to get the carries that he needs. And I think James Conner is going to have a much bigger day. Wait a second. I have a bonus Who's Your Daddy for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. I've got one more bonus. So last night I felt it was pretty, I don't know how to say this, but I hate Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. And I don't know who I hate more, but I want to throw it out to you guys. Who is the worst commentator to have on football? Is it Joe Buck or Troy Aikman?
Who's your daddy?
I'm going to go with Troy Aikman.
Yes.
There's just an arrogance there. I mean, yes, he was a great quarterback, Super Bowl champion, but it's just the arrogance and when he does Cowboy games, that's just the worst.
So true. Chris America.
Yeah, I have to agree, and it's really an unfair fight because he's a Dallas Cowboy. So he already has, steroids pumped into him legally to where you're not even going to stand a chance. And then you take the fact that he's really not a personable guy. One of the reasons why I like Tony Romo calling it, I know a lot of people hate him because they think he's a little, he's kind of a little rough around the edges, but he's only been doing this a year. So I'm giving Tony Romo time. But Tony Romo's personable. Tony Romo sounds like a fan watching the game, and you love to hear that from your commentator. Where Troy Aikman is he's just arrogant. He's just kind of aloof. And you're right. When he calls the Dallas Cowboys games, it's even worse. So gonna have to go with Aikman as if the question is who's awful, who's awfulest, who's awfuler. It's definitely Troy Aikman.
All right, Troy Aikman with the sweep.
Who's your daddy?
And that's been another segment known as Who's Your Daddy. Thank you guys for playing along with me today. I really appreciated that. And we kind of got a little bit of talk about some of these upcoming games. So real quick, let's pick out two of our favorite games from this weekend that we're looking forward to. Chris America, do you want to start us off looking forward to these Sunday games in the NFL?
Yeah, let's. I won't steal yours because I know you're looking forward to see the Cleveland at New Orleans. So I'm going to go with Philadelphia at Tampa Bay. Nick Foles had a slow start where Fitzmagic looked like a Hall of Fame superstar. Let's see if those roles switch. If reality comes back to both of those teams where Philadelphia looks like the number one team in the country or in the NFL. And let's see if Tampa Bay reverts back to their old ways that they've been basically since John Gruden blew the team up back in the olden 2000s.
Okay, that's a good choice because I will actually be at that game, Chris America. It's over there in Tampa, so I'm going to be enjoying that. Definitely.
I expect a full-on analysis and report on Monday morning.
Yes, I'm going to say the game was good.
Okay,
And that's it.
Mac.
That's it. That's
Okay,
it.
Anthony
That's
Mac.
all right. All right. So, okay. You know what? I'm just gonna do it. You said it. Cleveland versus New Orleans. I am looking forward to this game. I don't know why, but I've been very intrigued by the Cleveland Browns, and it's like almost like a plague. I want to see them do good, but they're going against the high-powered New Orleans offense who loses week 1 against the Bucs and Fitzmagic, and they need to come back and get a win. So the Browns are desperate for a win after a tie in week 1 and a winless season last year, and the Saints are desperate for a win. So two desperate teams, one with a great offense, one with a great defense, coming together. It's going to be a slobber knocker. All right, Football Joe, what do you got? What is one of your games of the week?
I'm going to go with the Vikings at the Packers. I think that Viking defense, going to see how they do. Want to see how it unfolds with Aaron Rodgers and team, and it looks like it looks like just with the Vikings on the road, they're pretty good on the road. When you have a good defense, you play well on the road. I mean, that's an intriguing matchup. That's going to start at 1:00 Sunday, so it's a great game. One of the great matchups I think of the weekend.
Oh, that's a good choice. That is a very good choice. Chris America, you got one more you want to throw out there?
Yeah, just real fast. I want to see Oakland at Denver because I just love relishing in the fact that John Gruden is awful. I've been saying it for years. Everybody's pretended like he's a good coach, all the whole time he's on Monday night. And then we got the $100 million contract. I was like, man, what a waste of money. So I think the fact that Oakland is leaving their town again, it serves them right in sports karma to get John Gruden.
Okay. And I have to say it. We mentioned it, the Tom Brady versus Blake Bortles GOAT versus GOAT matchup. I'm excited to see this AFC Championship rematch. This should be one of the games of the week. And as Joe Football had mentioned, it's going to come down to the wire, and hopefully Blake Bortles can pull out his magic hat, pull a rabbit out of it, and make this a victory for the city of Jacksonville. Looking forward to that. Joe Football, one more for you, sir.
One more. Okay. I'm going to have to say the Sunday night game, the Giants at the Cowboys. Always a good game. Good rivalry. When you look at the East, living in Philadelphia, and it's just good. Going to be good to see. Who has the best game when you're looking at Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott and then Eli coming back, Odell Beckham. So some good stars. You couldn't ask for a better place. I had the opportunity to go to Cowboy Stadium once. We had a event down there and get on the field and everything. Quite a stadium. Good. I think good environment for football and good way to spend your Sunday night.
A quick question for you. So when you were down on that field, when you looked up, were you ever thinking, man, I hope this Jumbotron doesn't fall on me because this thing is gigantic?
It is big. Now, got a chance to go in the locker room. It was impressive. I am not a Cowboy fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I will enjoy watching the game.
I'm glad you put that caveat in there. Like, I am not a Cowboys fan. Please do not hate me. Don't at me on Twitter. I am not a Cowboys fan. Please, fans, understand. All right, Chris America, we're up against the commercial break, but when we come back, we have our fan favorite, the fantasy draft of the week, and it is going to be one for the record book. So stay
It's
tuned,
gonna
listeners.
be super.
All right, or that.
When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports. That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. "12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst."
Oh, guess who it is? Did you know the station had a janitor? Oh yeah, the Hefe, otherwise known as Beck. And it's Beck's Work Week in Review live on 12-ounce sports radio every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Catch interviews, special guests, and the recap of the week's news and headlines and box scores and results. It's Beck's Work Week in Review live on 12-ounce sports radio.
Scout Team listeners and friends of the show, I've got something special for you. It looks like 12-ounce sports radio has done it again. We have partnered with Rally House. You just go to the website 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner on the right side of the page, and it will take you directly to Rally House. Rally House has some of the greatest, most unique sports items for that diehard fan, casual fan, and anybody and everybody out there that is special in your life. So go ahead and check it out. Once again, go to that website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner to the right of the page, and you will get taken to the best sports merchandise website on all of the interweb. Do you own a small business? Are you looking for solutions to all of your communications problems and challenges that you have? Check out Ring Central. Give them a call. They have partnered with 12ouncesportsradio.com to give you the best rates on all of your business and office solutions for communication. Give them a call today. We have a dedicated line for all of the 12-ounce sports radio listeners. It is 1-877-779-3860. You will get a representative on the phone who will help you with all of your small business communications needs. Once again, give them a call today. 1-877-779-3860. Yeah, it's a Friday and we're having fun here. You are listening to Scout Team Sports, and it's going to be a great week, another great weekend in sports, and we want to thank all of our listeners for listening in. If you want to get social with us, make sure you check us out, like our Facebook page at Scout Team Radio. You can always hit us up on Twitter at Scout Team Radio or on Instagram, Scout Team Radio. So make sure you check all those out. I'm excited about the weekend. Me and Joe Football, we're going golfing tomorrow morning, so I love going golfing. But when I go golfing, I always go to 12ouncesportsradio.com, and I go to that link that says book like a pro, and I get the best prices on my tee times that you can find anywhere, absolutely anywhere. We guarantee it. So make sure you check that out. If you're going golfing this weekend like Joe Football and myself are, make sure you click the link, book like a pro. Also, Sunday, I'm going to the Bucks-Eagles game, and the only place that I can buy tickets is on 12ouncesportsradio.com. Again, we have worked with the ticket vendors, and we have got the best prices out there. Make sure you go and get your event tickets at 12ouncesportsradio.com. You book like a pro on 12ouncesportsradio.com, and you have fun on a Friday because we've got a great lineup of shows coming up on the radio station.
Well,
Friday
Robbie,
is what.
Real fast.
Yeah,
before
go
you get
ahead.
into that, you're gonna need an Eagles shirt. I don't know if you own one because you're a Redskins fan. So if you want to get it by Sunday, you need to get onto Amazon.com right now. But don't go to Amazon.com. Go to 12ouncesportsradio.com. Click on the Amazon link. Get it through there. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it just helps support our show. It helps keep us running. It helps keep 12 Ounce Sports Radio running. So do us a solid. Do all your Amazon online shopping through 12ouncesportsradio.com.
Man, I love it. I absolutely love it, and that's where I order all of my merchandise. Is from Skynet, Amazon. That's what you said, Amazon, whatever.
Amazon.
So, great lineup today on the radio station. After our show, immediately following, we have A Sip of Sports. Mary from A Sip of Sports puts on a great show. 8 o'clock, Clutch Talk Sports. Cows and Quacks is on at 10. Our replay at 11. Hog Nation Live at noon. And then The Hefe brings Beck's Work Week in Review. Great show from 2 to 4. And after that, we've got our replay from Wednesday night, a shortened, condensed version, but our replay of Scout Team After Dark, World Hockey Report, TNT Sports, Cows and Quacks, and the Primetime Angles Show, which premiered last night, had a ton of listeners. Great to have those guys aboard. So, without further ado, it is Fantasy Draft Friday, and this week we are drafting quarterbacks who have lost in the Super Bowl. So, as far as the order goes, Chris America, I think Joe Football being our guest, we'll let him draft first. So, who do you think should go second, you or I?
Well, you went first last week, right?
I can't remember. I lost
yeah,
though.
we've been going back and forth. So
Yeah, I'll go last.
All
That's
right.
okay. But I get we were doing snake draft, and we're gonna go ahead and do 4 quarterbacks each. Snake draft. So I'm gonna get the last pick in the first round, but then the first pick in the second round. So I'm excited about that. There's some.
Maybe I should have gone last. No wonder
I've got
why
some
you
good
jumped at that
players.
Last pick. Okay, go ahead.
No, you said it, not me. All right, Joe Football, you are up first in our Fantasy Draft Friday for quarterbacks who have lost in the Super Bowl.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with Peyton Manning as my first pick. Who if you look at champions and role models, I can't think of a better choice than Peyton Manning.
All right, that's a solid number 1 draft pick from Joe Football. Chris America, you're up, sir.
I'm excited that you went with Peyton Manning because Peyton Manning is really a poor man's Dan Marino. So I'm going to pick Dan Marino as my first quarterback who lost the Super Bowl.
All right. Wow. I can't believe this guy is still on the board, and I can't believe I actually want to pick him, but I'm going to have to go with the GOAT, Tom Brady. Got to do it. Going safe.
Going safe. Okay.
We remember this is snake draft.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, Joe Football trying to get a little competitive advantage. You see that?
I think we shouldn't do snake draft because I really screwed myself over here. I'm going to have you guys pick 2 and 2 on each side of the draft.
No, we're doing snake draft. We're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? I kind of feel good about it. I get the last pick though. You guys each got to pick ahead of me. So now in the second round, but then it comes back full circle. Third round, you get back to back in the third round. So
I don't. I don't ever get back to back.
Oh, you're right. You're second. Joe Football does. Good point. Good point. Oh, there's a couple good ones left on the board here. This is really making my decision hard.
We've never gone snake draft in this thing. I don't know why we're doing snake draft now. I think we need to go.
We've
one
always
pick
done
each
snake
person.
draft.
No,
Well,
we
because
haven't. We've gone back
there's
and
been
forth.
2 of us. You can't go
It makes
snake
no
draft with 2
sense
people.
With 3 people. Snake
All right.
draft.
Nobody's listening to you. We're doing snake draft.
Joe,
But you
what is
see-
your vote? Let's take a vote. I vote no snake draft. What is your vote, Football Joe?
It's up to you guys.
Here, Chris America, I'm just going to throw this
I'm
out at
good.
you. I'm throwing this out at you. You have beat me 2 weeks in a row. I'm
All right,
winless.
fine,
I'm
no.
the Cleveland Browns
No, it's
of
gonna be- it's
fantasy
gonna be funny.
drafts.
It's gonna be
We'll
funny
go
if Football
snake
Joe
draft.
wins this.
If Football Joe,
We'll go snake draft. No excuses.
yeah, look at him. Yeah, there you go.
I don't want any excuses.
Yeah, I was
so
giving
go
him
ahead.
a dirty look. He knows in studio that look means you go snake draft. So, Chris America, sorry for. Is this going to be one of those ones where if you lose, you're going to be like, That's not fair. Miles
no,
Jack
go ahead.
was
Go
down.
ahead. Miles Jack was down. Go ahead. Or no, he wasn't down.
Yeah, whatever. I got to go with the gunslinger himself, Mr. Brett Favre.
All right, I like that pick. I thought when you said gunslinger, I thought you were going to go with John Elway, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go John Elway for my
See,
second
your pick was still there. You're fine.
No, I mean, I was looking around. I was kind of glad you went Brett Favre. Go ahead, Football Joe.
Okay, I'm going to go with Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly, if you think of nobody lost more Super Bowls, but really was a very good quarterback, and they should have at least won one. And he had great teams, but so that's my pick.
All right, now we snake back around to the number one pick again, and that would be you again, Football Joe.
Well, I think I'm going to go with Kurt Warner. What a story Kurt had as a winning quarterback, Super Bowl quarterback, but also did have a loss in the Super Bowl. So Kurt Warner.
He's also a good grocery bagger.
Absolutely. Great story.
He was a great story. All right, number 2 pick in the draft.
All right, and I'm going to have to try to appeal to the Dallas Cowboy fans out there. There's a lot of them, unfortunately. But he played for Navy, so we got to salute him. Roger Staubach, the David Robinson before David Robinson.
Good choice. I was eyeballing Staubach for this pick. Oh, good choice. Wow, it's getting a little thin as we're starting to go down here. Being a big Redskins fan, I think I've got to go with my guy, the broken leg legend, Joe Theismann.
I like it. Go ahead with your second, or what are you on, your 4th pick now?
Yeah, this is my last pick of the draft. We call this Mr. Irrelevant in the Loudbeard team. But I'm going to go a little bit more old school. I think the Vikings fans will appreciate this one. Fran Tarkenton.
All right, I like that. I'm going to appeal to the other large fan base that I don't understand why they're so big. I'm going to go with Ben Roethlisberger with my am I on my 3rd pick, right? Or no?
No, that's your 4th.
Okay.
You've got Marino, Elway, Staubach, and Roethlisberger.
And Roethlisberger. All right, I feel pretty good about that list.
Okay, and last pick, I'm going to go with Russell Wilson. When I think of the interception that happened, and they were so close to winning that consecutive Super Bowl, and I think Russell Wilson is so talented, and that's going to be my pick.
Oh wow! So
All right,
this
I
is
like it.
these are some good lists here. I think we've done a good draft.
So
I'm looking back.
Go over our teams again real fast, so that way.
All right, so Joe Football over here, he's got a pretty solid team. He started out with his first pick grabbing Peyton Manning. He swung around the next round and picked up Jim Kelly, the greatest loser of Super Bowls in the world. Kurt Warner after that. He likes a good story, and Russell Wilson. So 4 great picks there, Joe Football. Chris America, you came back around. You started off strong. Dan Marino, the greatest quarterback known to have never won a Super Bowl. You then came to John Elway, who lost a lot of Super Bowls before he finally won 2 at the end of his career. Cowboys legend Roger Staubach, and you finished it up with Ben Roethlisberger. So great list there, Chris America. And Loudbeard comes hot with Tom Brady, bringing the GOAT in. Follows it up, 2nd pick in the draft, Brett Favre. 3rd pick, Redskins legend Joe Theismann. And lastly, Fran Tarkenton. And I don't know, my last pick there, Fran Tarkenton, I feel the younger generation won't appreciate that one as much, but I felt like this was a good choice. So I had to go for it. Hey, great teams out there.
Yeah, people don't realize how good the Minnesota Vikings were in the 70s if it just wasn't for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, when we look at the LSU Tigers, from like 2008 to 2014, if it wasn't for Alabama Nick Saban, the LSU Tigers might have won a couple of national championships. The Minnesota Vikings were that in the 70s. Joe Football, do you remember that Minnesota Vikings team?
I do. Fran Tarkenton was quite the scrambler. Was a very good quarterback, but they were really known for their defense. they had Alan Page, had a couple Hall of Famers that played on that defensive line, but Purple People Eaters was what they were known as on their defense, and that's how they won. And they played outside; they weren't in the dome, and they played in some really rugged temperatures there in the wintertime. So I remember many feet of snow up there, and it was always entertaining to watch that team. But Fran Tarkenton was a great Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, you want to talk about having a bad draw when you're going to the Super Bowl. Their first Super Bowl, they played the undefeated Miami Dolphins. I'm pretty sure that's the year they went undefeated, was when they played the Minnesota Vikings. And then the other 3 times they went, they played the Pittsburgh Steelers, who were basically, like I said, the Alabama or the New England Patriots of the 70s. And if it wasn't for the Dallas Cowboys sneaking one in there in between, Fran Tarkenton would have been the first quarterback to lose 4 Super Bowls before Jim Kelly did.
That's true. That's a bad stat to have. You don't want to be that guy, but there's quarterbacks out there that have had some bad luck, and Fran Tarkenton and Jim Kelly are at the top of that list.
And looking at it, I didn't realize this either, but John Elway would have been the first to lose 4, but Boomer Esiason snuck one in there in between the 3 out of the 4 Super Bowls that John Elway played in the 80s.
Yeah, John Elway, he went in and he lost some bad Super Bowls, like, by 40 points, and it was rough.
Yeah, the one year I remember with John Elway was against the Redskins. One of the years,
to remember.
And they were down. The Redskins were down 10-0, and it wasn't looking good. And then all of a sudden, Doug Williams, just a juggernaut, came in, and I think they scored 35 points in the first half, and the game was all over. And Elway, again, didn't have a bad game, but it was just the Redskins were just on fire at the right time.
I like it. I like when you bring up Redskins talk. Now, we have about 10 minutes left of our show, and we've gone all NFL, but there is a sport known as college football that happens every weekend, and I think we would be doing our fans a disservice if we didn't talk about this upcoming weekend in college football, because there are some great matchups coming up, and we can talk about a couple of these pretty quickly.
Loudbeard, real fast, let's get in our 2 picks before we go full off the NFL and we don't come back around to it.
Our lock picks of the week?
Our lock picks.
Man.
Mine are going to be easy. I'm going LA Chargers over the Buffalo Bills. And go ahead with the other pick. I lost my second pick. But Chargers over Bills all day. I got to bounce back from my 0-2 start.
All right, so I'm going Jets over Dolphins. And
Actually,
then for my...
Yeah, that was my second pick. So that's my second pick, Jets versus Dolphins. This way, at least I know you can't get too much of a lead on me.
Okay.
Week.
So, you're jumping in. And your first pick was the Chargers over the Bills. Just writing this down for so we can make sure that we don't have any shenanigans going on. I know how you are, Chris America. You love shenanigans. And
it's
let's
a great
see.
Place to eat.
That it is. So I'm taking a look at this. I like to be a little bit, a little bit more risque with my picks than you are. You're going a little safe, especially after that really dud of a first week. I'm going Jaguars over Patriots. Let's see. And my second pick, I think I have to go Giants over Cowboys. So I've got 2 good picks in there. I'm glad. I'm excited about this. So that is me. All right, writing it all down. Okay, so we've got our 2 picks in. We obviously know who's going to win that, Loudbeard. And we can move on to bigger and better things. So, yeah, I went a little bit more of the challenging picks. So, Chris America, this could get a little interesting. Let's see how this works out for us.
I hope it works out good. I hope I go 2-0.
Yep.
But
good luck.
Okay, so now we can jump into this weekend of college football. And what was already kind of a ho-hum weekend turned into even worse with a whole bunch of games on the East Coast getting canceled. Again, our thoughts are with, everybody in North Carolina, South Carolina, that whole East Coast place. We know how it's like, man. We've been hit by 6 or 7 hurricanes in the last 10 or 15 years. So we are definitely thinking about you guys, and obviously hurricanes come over football. Now, with that said, one of the matchups that stick off on the page to me is Boise State at Oklahoma State. Got to pull for Oklahoma State on this one because for some reason, going undefeated the year before and being on fire this year isn't good enough to be ranked above Boise State for UCF.
Yeah, I don't know what these voters are thinking. This is the age-old story that we just cannot let go, and we will not let go. But Yeah, I kind of feel a little bit different than this on you. Boise State is not that typical Power 5 team. They're kind of like UCF, where they're a little bit of that underdog. People aren't giving them the credit they deserve, and I kind of like that about them. Oklahoma State is one of those traditional teams that they have a huge fan base. Boise State, they're like UCF. They've been in the spotlight the last 10 to 15 years more than these other big programs. So I'm going to have to go Boise State on this one. This is the team that I'm pulling for.
I think the reason why I'm kind of bitter about the Boise State pick is it's sort of like a spiteful pick. It's sort of like, let's rub their noses in it and show them by putting another non-Power 5 team above them. And Boise State's just the easy pick for them. They're not even, again, they're just not even applying thought. They don't watch either of these two teams. They're just like, you know what? I've seen Boise State around these years. They've kind of earned their stripes to be ranked above. And even though I'm not going to watch any UCF games or Boise State games, I'm going to put Boise State above UCF just to stick it to UCF. Because, again, there's no way you put a team that probably finished well. I know they beat Oregon at the end of the year, but I think they had 3 or 4 losses last season. You can't put that team above an undefeated national champion who returned all of their players on offense.
100% agree with you. The next game I'm looking at, and this one we had marked on our calendars ever since the Urban Meyer situation was going down. Now, the coach is still not on the sidelines, but Ohio State, who has looked fantastic weeks 1 and week 2, is going up against a very talented TCU team. Could this be the opportunity when missing the coach is going to come out and Ohio State will struggle against TCU? What do you think, Joe Football?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ohio State. Living in Columbus for 3 years and getting a chance to go to some Ohio State games, and having my got quite a few friends that are Ohio State alumni. So I love Ohio State as far as the institution. I know there's been a little controversy there with Urban Meyer, but they look like they have a strong team this year.
Chris America, what do you think?
I don't remember if you were on the show at this point in time, but I had some inside information that tells me that Ohio State has gotten with the show Impractical Jokers, and they've set it up to where Urban Meyer can be outside of the stadium watching the TV that like the Impractical Jokers watch the TVs on, and he's going to be relaying information to the head coach's ear. He's got those little earbuds in there like they have on those shows, so that way he can call plays and everything's going to be copacetic for the suspension. He's going to serve it out, but he's still going to be calling the game.
Okay. That's an interesting take. I got to go Ohio State. Even if Urban Meyer is not outside the stadium with the TVs, wink, wink, I still believe Ohio State wins this game. They're just too good of a team. Now, TCU could easily pull the upset, but got to go Ohio State on this one. Next game that I'm looking at, I have a couple games listed here. The big one, obviously, is LSU versus Auburn. I think we all can agree that that's going to be a great game. But before we talk about that one, I do think Alabama versus Ole Miss. I want to see Ole Miss come out and really try to compete with Alabama. This could be an upset special of a week. I don't know if it's me hating on Alabama or just thinking, what has Ole Miss got? Let's see what they got. Let's see what they can do against the juggernaut known as Alabama.
Ole Miss has been the thorn in Nick Saban's side the last few years. Now, they had the 2 back-to-back wins. I think it was 14 and 15. They haven't really done much since then. So let's see if Ole Miss can bounce back from their 2 losses and get back to their old ways of beating Nick Saban.
That's what I want to see. This is all I want to see. Just a good old win by Ole Miss. And we'd all be happy here. And this is, I guess, not a great game. Texas and USC, I think these are the overrated teams of college football. Every year they get ranked. Neither of them are that good. Who do you think comes out with a victory, USC versus Texas? Joe Football, you want to start it out?
I'm going to go with USC. I think they have the stronger team, and that's who I'm going to go with.
Chris America.
Boy, these are 2 coaches that really need to win desperately. I guess it's a toss-up. I'm going to flip a coin and say Texas because it's at home.
I think I'm going to go Texas because I don't know why USC always gets all this hype. I just think they are overranked and they underperform. And I don't believe USC is going to come out with a victory. Now, we're going to finish the show up. LSU versus Auburn. I think this is the spotlight game of the week. I think these are two powerhouse SEC teams that are out to prove that they are in the same conversation as Alabama. So they need to come out, and one of these teams is going to come out and look good in this victory. So which team is it going to be, Chris America?
Well, listen, the Tigers come out. They're going to play strong, but the Tigers are also have a good defense, so they might be able to stop the Tigers' offense, get a couple of plays in towards the end, and in the fourth quarter, the Tigers come out and win the game.
So you are neutral. You're picking both Auburn and LSU because this is a Tiger versus Tiger.
I gave you my pick. The Tigers win.
All right, good choice. Joe Football, which one are you picking?
No, I'm going to go Auburn because I don't trust Ed Orgeron.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the upset, LSU. That's Uncle Dale's favorite team.
Uncle Dale. You
That's
got to
all
love
he
an Uncle
wears.
Dale. Everybody's got a good old Uncle Dale.
Uncle Dale, that's all he wears is LSU. And he is a fan, and I saw him over the weekend. He was up from New Orleans, and I'm going to root for his team in an upset.
Actually, he'd be fun to get on the show one day. There is an Uncle Dale, a real Uncle Dale, and he would be a hoot. I've got to go.
Dale Jr.
Hey, I got to make one call out. Your sister's going to the Penn State game. They're taking the RV up and the whole gang, and just wanted to do a shout out. Have a good time.
Oh, Spicy Curry going with the RV up to the Penn State game. I just wanted to say I believe in Coach O. Orgeron forever. Orgeron for life. LSU with the victory. All right, that's it. I think we're wrapping it up. Chris America, any final thoughts or parting words?
Nope, you did it all, buddy.
All right. Thank you guys for listening in. Catch us each and every weekday, 6 a.m. and 11 a.m. on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. And you can always hit up the podcast at Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or on ScoutTeamRadio.com. Have a wonderful Friday. It has been a pleasure.
Yeah, I think we need to get a RV there, Loudbeard.
I know. I'm going to put a big Scout Team logo on it. We can go tailgate everywhere. It would be awesome. Oh, I think I know of one. I'll work on that for you.